You are now entering the LuxCore Studios. And you've secured a seat for the Protecting Your Radius podcast. Here, we build connections from your contracting profession to some of the top bleeding edge products and services. Don't get deterred. Let's not delay. Here is your host, Nathan Downs.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Protecting Your Radius podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Downs, and on today's episode, you've got a solo episode. I actually just got off the phone with my good friend, Dan Blanc, the Fence King, My Fence Life. Continue to check out his show each and every Wednesday night, typically at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's also got the Ask Me About My Day calls and everything. And we were just talking about several different things. And one thing Dan mentioned to me that I often agree with everyone that I speak with on a weekly basis is how, just like it says in Proverbs in the Bible, where iron sharpens iron, we all get better together. And it's so true. That's what we were having a conversation about how do we continue to improve each of our businesses and how I hate to use the word because I feel like it's overplayed so much, but the synergy, air quotes there, but the synergy between just the different areas that each of our operations are located in and some of the commonality that we each share is really exciting. And again, that's why many of us that are producing content like this podcast that you're watching or listening to right now, that's why we do it, because we're looking for ways that we can help each other come up. And at the same time, there'll be things that I say, like on our show today, that some of you may immediately go, yeah, I think you could do this way, or make an adjustment here, or take to look at it from another lens, another perspective. And that's what we do together. And that's what we're trying to do here in growing a community where we're all going somewhere which is better than where we were in the past. So if you have comments, questions, anything, info@protectingyourradius.com, or you can also hit us up on any social media channels. @radius_podcast is our handle across every platform. You can direct message me. Anything you want to hear about, talk about, other ideas. We have a bunch. Season 2 is filled with manufacturers across the board from all sorts of different companies. We're going to be talking about innovative fence products. I've got Brett Richardson coming on here again soon with Fence Track. The LuxCore, they partnered up with that, but we're going to be talking about the Trexes, the green ones, the different types of composites, all of these different things that are out there and what they're doing. What does it really mean? Understanding what offerings are. I've got big vinyl players coming in talking about vinyl, some of the innovations that are going on with the colored and textured and all the different things that they're continuing to innovate on. On the gate side, all of us that do gates and access control know that the gate operators can change all the time, and access control is a constant evolving matter. But I've talked to lock companies that are doing things with like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi lock mechanisms that are now able to go outdoor rated. Then we've got on the gate operator side, so many people are doing different things with the safety standards and the technologies, and how do you integrate and how do you make a system and an ecosystem for access control that's accessible for our clients, where they can use smartphones, they can use NFC readers, they can use whatever you want it to look like, and then scale it out from there. So I'm excited. I think a lot of you are going to get a lot of great information. Near the end of this season, we've got a ton of content coming out with our partners at Wood Defender. And I'm going to be personally down there for one of their schools, also going to go some places that we've never been as a community. I'm going to get pictures and video record what we legally can down there. But as far as I'm going to be in the lab, I'm going to be talking to, the chemists, the whole team, Brent and all his guys down there, Roy and all them. We're excited to get into that and really kind of wrap up our season 2 towards the end of the year with all of that great content from the staining side. Again, we do stain at Radius. We're not super into that except for pre-staining because we do use the stain track machine to pre-stain all of our wood defender projects. And just like our wall behind me, we've been doing that for years. I want to say, geez, 5-6 years or something like that. That's kind of been my modus operandi on what we do with staining. But anyways, that's all the great stuff. If you haven't checked it out, I encourage some of you to, because there's a lot of people that haven't seen it. Radiusfence.com. So www.radiusfence.com is my company's website. And Radius, we've actually got 2 different lines of the company right now going, where we've got the fence side and the gate side. Our website, put together by Benji and his team over at cleverfox.online, really kind of gives that linear idea and shows you exactly how to navigate through all the different options. But we've put some really cool things that some of you've seen, but a lot of people haven't. I'd encourage you to go specifically to our residential side of all of our various fencing options on the website. And you can go through there, and we've got a comparison heat map that gives just a rundown of what if I went with a wood fence. Like, what are the advantages? What are the pros, the cons? Like, why would I want a wood fence? And then you could choose a metal fence. What are the pros and disadvantages of that? Pros and cons. And we go through every single one, even have a page where you can compare all the different ones. A pretty fun setup. We kind of tweak the numbers just to kind of give a real world like baseline of what expectations can be of each type of fence being used out there. But hopefully something like that, just seeing that off of our website, a tool that we use every single day. If you guys go through that and navigate that, it'll give you some additional ideas for your operations, for your company. Of course, if you're in the Tulsa market, don't just copy what I've done. I mean, that is a move. We'll find you. I'll come to your shop. No, just kidding. Google will find you and they'll know that you copied what we did. But anyways, it gives you some ideas, something to think about. So that's what we're going to talk about today. After my conversation with Dan Blanc, I think that in looking through, even over the last couple of weeks, we just passed through the 4th of July and we're getting into the second half of the year. And I always like to, I've told all of you, I like to move in 30-day increments. So we're starting a new 30-day cycle right now. Like, we're in the beginning of it, in the throes. And something I realized coming at the end of our Q2 cycle was that we had a storm about 3 weeks ago. And the storm created a lot of activity. But the activity that it created and what happened was very fruitless. And what I mean there is our closing ratio was about 25% off of our normal closing ratio mark. A lot of different reasons that that's the case, right? Like, you've got insurance claims, you got people that weren't ever going to do it. There's so many different things, lots of competition going on out there, but we kept our pricing the same. And I noticed that we had a lot of people coming back, especially with the smaller projects, not necessarily like a full yard replacement where the yard was completely torn up. The fence was just dilapidated beyond control and they have to do something with all of it. But where we had certain sections, or maybe we had 50 feet here or, a 20-foot front with a gate and another couple sections, we lost those jobs.
For over 30 years, Southwest Automated Security has been the premier provider of gate operators, access controls, CCTV, and so much more. Visit southwestautomated.com today, taking dealers to the next level.
So what I noticed was with that 25% closing ratio off of our normal closing from the storm damage is that we missed the mark with how we approached these opportunities in the market. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because we live in Oklahoma where catastrophic weather events is just something that we deal with. We're right in the middle of Tornado Alley. We have straight line winds coming from the plains. We have heat waves that come out of Texas and engulf us as well. Droughts, all sorts of stuff. Earthquakes for several years. I mean, the only thing that we usually don't get are hurricanes, but if one hurricane comes up through Houston and is land bound for a while, it will come straight at Tulsa. So we get it all. We've seen it all. Ice, snow, you name it. It's a possibility here. So what could we have done better for our potential customers that contacted us and that we were working through these opportunities with? And what I realized was there are times where the smaller, more nimble contractors that were there just doing the work were set up to appropriately take care of repair needs for people that were asking for the help. But then all the full yard replacement jobs, it seems like we're selling those fine. The issue with that, as a business owner, I had to look at now, looking at the numbers, was all of the lost opportunity was where we spent the bulkhead of our time. So we spent so much time in these other areas where we didn't close nearly anything. I mean, maybe just a couple jobs, where in the past that I saw that being a little different. I decided, I talked to a few people around the country, and the next go round, we are going to have set up we will actually charge a fee for coming out and doing an estimate during the storm time, which of course we will gladly apply towards the cost of repairs when the customer goes through with it. But just so in doing that, we can at least be covered for some of the time, gas, and money that we put into all of these bids. Because I think between myself and Donnie, we drove around for a week straight, 9-10 hours a day, all day long, going out and bidding jobs. And just in gas and looking at the area that we cover and in time, I can see a tangible loss of thousands and thousands of dollars just because the closing ratio on those was so low. Now, some of these will still come back around because of insurance claims, and then the companies will come pay their money and whatnot. But it's still something to be accounted for, because you don't know at the end what are we actually going to be able to produce and track out of this catastrophic event that happened. So that's a thought. Again, there's lots of people that would probably disagree with that statement. Lots of people that do it that would agree with that concept and idea of charging for estimates in those type of scenarios. But from a practical standpoint, if you've never thought about it before, I was able to track down costs and do understand that if we end up only selling 4, 5, 6 jobs, at best, we probably just broke even off of those because of how much time and resources and money were invested in getting out in our community and trying to help people and put bids together that simply weren't ever going to use us, or they used the bids to collect the money from the insurance company and then did something else with it, whether they self-perform or whatever, that's fine. But we do have a responsibility to our families and our teams at each one of our companies to protect our time and costs as well. So I think it's an interesting conversation. Would love to hear what you guys think about that. Again, you can DM us or email us, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, on that matter. But that's good stuff. And also, the exciting thing that I wanted to share with everyone was the calendar for the next couple months here in Q3 of 2023 is absolutely booked out. There are so many things going on in the industry right now. It is just sickening to think what an amazing time to be working in the fence or the gate industry. I mean, right now, July 17th and 18th in Dallas, Texas, Southwest Automated Security, my partners for forever. I mean, these guys just kill it. You know, they partner with us on the show. You can always see all of our Southwest Automated promos and things we're talking about nonstop. But these guys have this upcoming technician training seminar that I think might be this could go down as the greatest training setup ever. In talking to some of the team down there at Southwest Automated. But you guys got to check this out. If there's any chance you can get there, they're still taking signups. We've been running the banner for weeks on the show. We've got links on our social media channels for it and stuff. We'll be posting again as we're getting closer to the event here. But this event is going to be awesome. You got to check that thing out if you have any interest, or if you're already in the area or remotely close and do service calls and installations for gate operators and access control. This will be a must-attend event with some of the industry leaders right there in the hip pocket, face-to-face, and Radius will be represented by Donnie Lockhart at the event. So excited. If you guys go down there, look for Donnie. He'll be in his Radius garb. Give him a high five. Ask him questions, tell him what you want to hear on the show. He'd love to hear anybody that listens to the Downtime with Donnie podcast, connect with him down there. Immediately after that, there's a number of different things going on. I'll be at several meetings for some fence things coming on. I'm not sure I can talk much about them, but there are a couple events that I'll be at. But for everyone in the industry, in mid-August there, the Fence and Security Expo show out in Las Vegas, with being brought to everyone by the FWA, Fence Workers Association. Got to check that thing out. I think, again, I have a feeling that we will have Radius represented there. We're just trying to work on the details of what that's going to look like. But again, at the medium, at a minimum, either myself or Donnie will be there in some regards. So be on the lookout for that. Check that thing out. It's August 22nd through 25th, or 23rd through 25th. You can get additional information anywhere you find any of the stuff from FWA on their website or on social media channels. And then every month for the remainder of the year up through November, we've got the Wood Defender classes continuing to go on. You can always go to wooddefender.com, look up training classes, sign up for one of those classes. We would love to catch you there. Again, I will be there in October or November, I think one of the last ones there. So would love to see some of you all that have been wanting to do that might be waiting until the end of the year too. Out there. And then we've got Fence Tech coming up at the end of January 2024, Nashville, Tennessee. Fence Tech is going to be awesome. That is actually one of the events. I guess I can kind of say that because the American Fence Association board of directors and chapter presidents, which I'm still one for the Midwest chapter, will be down at the same time as the Southwest Automated training classes. We'll be out in Nashville ourselves for the AFA mid-year meetings. And we have got a lot of stuff going on over at the American Fence Association. We'll love to see what's rolled out in announcements coming out of that, but I'm excited to go back to Nashville. The first time I went to Nashville for Fence Tech, Brett and Cliff Richardson literally drug me over to the Ryman Theater downtown, which was the original Grand Ole Opry. I've told a lot of people this story because I am not a country music guy, but I love music. And I did not want to go see the Ryman. I didn't understand, they were telling me about the Grand Ole Opry. I was like, I've heard of it. Don't know what it is. Don't really care. We get done with this thing. I'm so geeked out about it. I'm calling my wife. Oh my gosh, the Grand Ole Opry is sick and you should see it. Yeah, I was like a kid in a candy store. And Brett and I were playing guitars and doing actually probably everything we weren't supposed to do in the museum part. We were like, yeah, we don't care. We're in like the recording booth. We're like Johnny Cash, and some of them recorded messing around and doing stuff. So anyways, Nashville is just popping. I mean, downtown Nashville there where the show is, I mean, there's every type of cool little swanky bar and grill and all sorts of stuff. And the talent there for music. I mean, it's cliche, but it's so true. It's so, what a rich community, especially downtown where that is, where you just can see and experience a lot of different people from a lot of different places. But it's just a cool vibe. And that is probably why Nashville, Tennessee is one of the fastest growing communities in the United States, because it is just a party, but it's clean and fun and, just a good time. It's a great place for networking. We met a lot of people when we were down there for Fence Tech. And like I said, for business interactions and everything going on there, what a great community to host us for Fence Tech and to be able to sit down with friends there. So, in closing today, to kind of wrap this thing up and put a bow on it, I wanted to leave you all going back to what I said at the very beginning of the show. And what I wanted to get in is I set the vision for season 2 here on the Protecting Your Radius podcast is we want to make a push in our industry. And I personally do, with a show that challenges everyone out there to be a better version of who you're meant to be, especially professionally. I saw one of my competitors post pictures last night of a job close to my shop that we bid several weeks ago, and they performed the job. And I know why they got the job. It was because we weren't even bidding apples to apples. They created an iron metal driveway gate, and they took 2 Ameristar panels, welded up some gate ends, slapped on another picket, put a LA 412 from LiftMaster on it. Super janky gate. The pickets protrude through the bottom because it's an extended bottom picket. So nothing about this thing is safety code compliant, not UL 325, not ASTM F2200. And then I looked at, and I know why they got the job. It was because of the columns that the client wanted. And the columns are some type of, I don't know if it was exactly the Austin cream stone that we use a lot down here, but it was some type of block stone. They used a dark gray that's very cream white colored and has a little bit of rose blush mixed into the stone faces. But they used a dark gray mortar mix on the whole thing. You could see the gray. I mean, and then it wasn't brushed out properly, and just generally the whole thing just looked not great. But it probably looked like what they paid for it, right? And it made me think, how many times do we have customers that have a champagne taste on a beer budget, right? But why do they end up going the lesser route? Is because somewhere in the process of selling them or working up the estimates or whatever, there was questions that I left unanswered that forced them to go with the cheaper bid. And it's easy when you're in construction. I really feel like it's super easy to immediately turn and say, they were a bad customer. They didn't get it. They weren't ever going to pay my price. Okay. That may be a little bit true, but I would bet very often the reason that most people aren't buying your services or goods is because they don't see the value in whatever price you're putting forward. Now, if they're buying your goods or services because you're the cheapest, you need to look at that and make sure, am I the cheapest because I have the best overhead, buy all my products correctly, do something different with my services to create more margin on my end? Or am I the cheapest just because I don't understand my costs? I don't understand business in general. And I am realizing that I feel like the money that I bring in, I don't keep enough of it at home, or I never have any additional money to buy any things that we need, any equipment or tooling or whatever that looks like, vehicles, any type of assets for the company. But you can't buy those because you've improperly bid and you're too cheap. So let's think about that. Take a little introspection. Look at your numbers. Get a feel for where are we at on across the board on how are we bringing in the revenue, what is going out, and understanding our P&Ls and our balance sheets. So P&L, your profit and loss, and your balance sheet. What are our assets versus our liabilities? And it's vital things that we need to each understand. Again, whether you're the business owner yourself or you're the person running a part of a company, even if you're a crew leader and you've just got a crew, you still have costs involved with what you do on a day-to-day basis. And your ownership or management needs to be aware of, like, that's why these questions come up. Like, how long did this take? How much time? What tools did you need? What tools did you need to buy? What tools are breaking? All of this matters because all of this will adjust what our end pricing is for each one of our projects appropriately to where we can make this sustainable. And you'll find that from all of you companies out there that have been around for a long period of time, you figured that out, or at least you have a grasp enough to say, we've established ourselves in the marketplace. We know that we're not costing ourselves out of a business, but are we making the money that we need to make and the money that's expected off of this? Or are we selling things purely based on price? Because value does matter to customers, even in a product or service like a fence or a gate. It's the same reason, like myself, and I've said it before, I'll buy an Apple phone, brand new. Is it worth $1,500? No. But why do I spend that? It's because I'm not going to switch. I've had a stupid Apple phone since the first one or the second one in 2008, 2009 or whatever. And I'll just continue doing it just because that's what I'm used to. That's what I expect. And I see the value there in at least not changing and having to start over from scratch. So it's no different than with a fence. It's a one-time purchase for these people. So our customers are not looking at some reoccurring off of a fence project or even a gate project that are an operator, but they need to be shown and sold the value of what we're doing so they understand that cost associated with it has some substantial oomph behind it. And I find that's an easy conversation that I have with customers all the time. And I hope each of you are doing that as well. Have a little introspection. Talk to your salespeople as well. If you are not sure how your team addresses value, have a team meeting at your office. Bring up the value proposition that your company brings. I think it would be really healthy, and we've done that over at Radius. We've actually done that recently. We had a lunch meeting at the end of Q2, and everybody was in the office, and I started talking about some of these things, like what value do we bring? Where are we dropping the ball? Like, what things are we doing that are great? And what things are we doing that are missing the mark? And it was amazing to see everyone's perspective, that it was different. But that didn't surprise me because each one of us have a different personality. For those of you that know my STAR training methodology, right? Each one of us is a different part of the STAR, whether you're an S, a T, an A, or an R. We've got them all mixed in our office. And so it's not surprising to see where everybody had a little bit different take on our true strengths, our true weaknesses, and where those opportunities are. And so that's all I've got for today. We appreciate each and every one of you listening to this. If you have any questions, if you like the content, man, leave us a review. I'd love to see some reviews come in. I'd love to mention people if there's other things or questions. Let's kind of start creating our own ecosystem here. We've been around for one season. We're trudging through season 2. It'd be a lot of fun to really find out what you all are interested in. And don't ever forget, on our other show, Downtime with Donnie is highly opinionated, and he would love to tell you any questions that you have, why you are wrong or the right way to do something. Donnie Lockhart is that guy. So, we appreciate you again. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.
You've been listening to the Protecting Your Radius podcast from the LuxCore Studios in Bixby, Oklahoma. Thanks for sticking around, and connect with us and all of our partners at www.protectingyourradius.com. We want to thank our premier partners. LuxCore, the newest line of premium quality composite infill to slide into your fence track fence system. Frame your style today. Also, Stain Track, the world's first patented standalone stain machine. Utilizing flood coat technology, Stain Track covers boards, pickets, posts, and any type of dimensional wood you can think of. And what better way to use your Stain Track machine than to use the easy application Wood Defender family of stains. Wood Defender goes on easy and covers in one coat with no back brushing. And of course, the true power of our show is you, the listener. Please rate and review our show on whatever platform you consume this content. Your 5-star likes and reviews help other contractors get the message that we all want to be better and do better. And in the construction world, we can never forget that before you can be great, you've got to be good. Before you can be good, you've got to be bad. But before you can even be bad, you've got to try.